There's been yet another assassination attempt against President Trump, and this guy was behind it. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about yet another assassination attempt against President Trump. This time, it was at the Trump International Golf Course in West Palm Beach, Florida. Now, the shooter, who I showed you at the very beginning, 58-year-old Ryan Routh, was about 300 to 500 yards away from Trump in some bushes behind a chain link fence. He had an AK-47, GoPro cameras, at least 1 or 2 book bags with ceramic tile in it, all kind of weird stuff. Now, his objective was to try and shoot Trump through the fence, but Secret Service are always about a hole or two ahead of Trump on the golf course, and at least one of the agents spotted him, and they exchanged fire. Or they just opened fire on him. I'm not quite sure if the would-be assassin got any shots off, but Secret Service did fire. Now, the guy was able to escape. He got in the vehicle and fled the scene, where he was captured about 40 miles north from the golf course. Now, he's in the custody of the federales. The FBI has him. So we'll see what happens from there. I'm sure there's going to be a laundry list of charges, gun charges, because I think this guy could not have a gun legally. And I want to address a lot, because there's a lot to this whole story. There seems to be a pattern of these people who vote Democrat, because this guy was a big Democrat, donated Democrats, ran as a Democrat for office, big Democrat. There seems to be a pattern of these people who vote for gun control, who support those who are in favor of gun control, that break gun laws, that break a bunch of other laws. A lot of your political violence comes from these people on the left. Okay, we saw it the first time in Pennsylvania where the guy shot Trump. We see it this time where the guy tried to shoot Trump. We saw it with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. But all the media wants to point to is Charlottesville and January 6th, which pale in comparison to what has happened from these leftist people just over the past few years in this country. Okay, it pales in comparison. But there's a lot we got to get into. This guy, Ryan Routh, a little bit of everything. Let's just go to some information before we get to video and whatnot. Now, look, this guy had a lengthy criminal record. There's like 100 criminal filings, including being charged with possessing a weapon of mass destruction in 2002, right around 9/11 time. That's kind of a crazy time to have something like that. And somehow he illegally got an AK-47 while traveling back and forth to Ukraine and recruiting Afghan fighters and other fighters. This guy was a big supporter of the war in Ukraine and was trying to get people to go over there and fight for them. Now, I'm not quite sure if he was in Ukraine himself fighting the war for Ukraine, obviously, but a big Ukraine war supporter, a big never Trumper, a big Democrat voter, donator. This guy was a stone cold stomp down leftist, a never Trumper, a Trump hater through and through. There's not a conservative Republican bone in this man's body from what I'm able to see. And if I'm wrong, I challenge anybody to give me information that proves anything else. Okay. Now, again, he ran for mayor where he lived, apparently. Okay. And you can see right here, this is New York Post. Alleged would-be Trump assassin Ryan Routh donated exclusively to Democrats since 2019. And again, this guy is 58 years old. He's from North Carolina, but he lived in Hawaii since 2018, where him and his son are building sheds for FEMA. That's part of what that's how they made a living, building sheds for FEMA. Okay. But he's from North Carolina originally. And you can see all the donations right here. 19 political donations, all the Democrats, including Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, Beto, Andrew Yang, Tom Steyer, and Tulsi Gabbard in 2019 and 2020. Okay. So you can see all of it right here. No, it's kind of hard to see right now, but I will link to everything in the box so you can see it clearly. Now, they did a profile on this guy before, I think, and they got a picture of his house in Hawaii. And on the back of his truck right here, you have a Biden-Harris bumper sticker. Okay, so again, this guy is a stone cold, stomp down Democrat. Now, before we go any further, let's get into a news clip from Hawaii. Again, he's from North Carolina, but he's been in Hawaii since about 2018, building sheds for FEMA with his son. And he also has a long-term girlfriend, but he is not married. I'm not sure if he's been divorced or whatever, but that's where he is right now. Let's watch this. Then we're going to get to a little bit more info. And of course, Trump is totally fine. Trump didn't get shot. Again, he's fine. Hopefully this guy goes away forever. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Moved to Ka'ava, on Oahu, a few years ago. And they're stunned that he could be involved in something like this. Our Stephen Florino reports.
This quiet neighborhood on the windward side of Oahu.
So you see that house right there from the picture, and that's the same truck right there with the Biden-Harris bumper sticker on it. So you know clearly whose side this guy is on, obviously. I mean, you try and shoot the former president at the golf course, obviously we pretty much know where you are politically.
Rocked at the news. Their neighbor, reportedly the suspect in the attempted assassination of former President Trump in Florida.
He went over there to do that? Really? Wow, it's hard to believe.
Wow, this is like unbelievable. It's like one of those movie type of deals. I mean, it's a small community, real family oriented. He's a real nice guy. Him and the girlfriend get along, well, most of the time great, but it's just amazing.
But you know what? You know what I blame for this before we continue? You know who I blame for this? Aside from this guy, of course, I blame him. And anyone else who wants to engage in political violence, I blame you first and foremost. But I blame two main things beyond him. First and foremost, it's him. But second and third, you have mainstream media stoking the tension, stoking the animosity, talking about Trump is a threat to democracy. He's worse than the funny mustache guy. He's going to take your rights away. He's going to put you in slavery, all types of stuff. The crazy extreme rhetoric from the mainstream media. While at the same time, they say, hey, conservatives, you better tell them that rhetoric about what's going on in Springfield, Ohio, about the cats and the rats and the bats and the dogs. Talking about some, oh, well, they're not eating cats. You're spreading hate. And that's part of the reason why Trump got almost shot again. It's like, really? The cat rumor, even if the cat rumor is false, what about the pictures and the police recordings or whatnot talking about the geese? The media are to blame, but also Secret Service. Not necessarily in this case in Florida, but in Pennsylvania. Listen, you had regular normies on the ground with their phones saying, hey, we see the guy right there on the roof. Why isn't anybody doing anything? Okay, so when that happened, when that shot rang off, when it was, neglected, whatever the reason for the shot going off, now people are going to say, hey, it's that easy? You could just run up on them and you could try to take a shot? I'll take a shot. Why not? That's the mentality, because they're going to try to be a copycat and be better than the first one. So you open the door to these weirdos, these nut jobs, these crazy people to try and take shots at Trump, quite literally. So I blame those two things aside from this guy 100%.
Neighbors say Ryan Rouse lived in this house for several years. Didn't talk politics, but the home did show his allegiances. The American flag near the door, the Biden-Harris sticker on the truck bed.
Well, he hasn't talked too much about politics. I mean, they did have a Biden sign in the front of the house, but other than that, no, not really.
No, we just talk about surfing. Yeah, that's it. We just go surf all the time.
We spoke to several neighbors, and they all pretty much described him the same way. A nice guy, quiet guy, a great carpenter who actually renovated most of his house, even offered to help anyone who needed it.
He always helped the community. In fact, he built my house. I got a small house. I live up in the back in the bushes. Yeah, he built one little 10 by 10 for me and my 10 dogs.
Neighbors say he even traveled to Ukraine to help in the conflict there.
He went to Ukraine when it just started. He went to go help out the people there for a couple months. I think it was like 6 months at one time.
This guy is clearly politically motivated, clearly a far, far, far leftist. And there's quite a few of these guys that exist in the country, and they're being amped up. They're being wound up by the mainstream media. And again, the Secret Service doing so poorly in Pennsylvania is inspired these people to go out there and try to do what the guy out there failed to do.
Then he came back and it was like, how was it? It was like, oh, good. He helped everybody and stuff like that. And then I think he left again.
Investigators stopped by the house for a short time, knocked on the door, left after no one answered.
Because he's like so mellow. He's real low key. He doesn't make too much. He doesn't make any trouble in the community. Let me put it that way. So it's a real shock. Very shocking news.
Stephen Florino, KHON2 News, working for Hawaii.
Now, of course, the guy is not in Hawaii. He's not going to be at the house because he is in federal custody right now in the mainland USA, in Florida, I suppose. But again, he lived in Hawaii with his longtime girlfriend, and I believe his son is out there as well. They interviewed the boy or the adult, and he's like, "Oh, my dad would never do this. He hates Trump like everybody should hate Trump, but he would never do anything like this." This whole thing is a mess. Again, I will link to everything in the box, but as I close, I want to say this. These people on the left are the violent ones. Man, we see it over and over again, and they're being amped up, they're being encouraged, they're being stoked by the media because the media knows that these kind of guys exist. They know it. And all they got to do is just kind of motivate them a little bit to go out there and do something. Okay, you allow this attempt to happen in Pennsylvania without much kickback. You allow that to take place. You don't just get on the guy and delete him before he takes a shot. So then that sends a message like, hey, he's vulnerable. Go ahead. And then the mainstream media, they have all these attack dogs, all these Jasmine Crockett's and whatnot of the world. Nancy Pelosi, everybody talking about how bad Trump is, threat to democracy. He's a funny mustache guy. All that stuff leads up to what happened here today. And I think they all should be held accountable. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on this second assassination attempt against President Donald Trump? Was it preventable? Did you see it coming? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I can't really say I'm surprised here. Unfortunately, I saw this whole thing coming. It shouldn't be a thing. You shouldn't be trying to, delete people. Look, I don't like Kamala Harris. I don't like Joe Biden. I don't like Democrat policies. But you know what I'm going to do? Rather than trying to delete somebody, rather than trying to take somebody's life, I'm just going to vote differently. I'll tell everybody, hey, you know what? They have bad policies. Vote them out in November. I don't do what the mainstream media does, which is stoke hatred, stoke division, stoke political violence. I don't do that. They do it. So when they say, hey, let's tone down the rhetoric, let's not be so extreme when it comes to Springfield, Ohio, and the migrants. Okay, cool. Let's take that same thought process and apply it in general to everything, rather than just certain issues that you want to hide and sweep under the rug. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.